G'day YouTube, WarblesOnALot here, with a bit of a different style of a video. On the one hand, I'm sort of going to have to put on my aeroplanologist's hat, just for a bit. And then, once I've got my aeroplanologist's hat on, it may be necessary to take what we call in the trade something of a mad scientist's perspective, a relativistic view on proceedings, in order to discuss a communication I saw in my feed a couple of days ago from a channel called Pilot Debrief. Now, those of you who are a bit into aeroplanes will probably know of Pilot Debrief. Pilot Debrief is a sort of a nasal sounding American. He's an ex-fighter pilot. He runs a YouTube channel. He's very big on sort of excoriating post-crash hindsight analyses, commentary of people who have, not to put too fine a point on it, fucked it up while playing with their hairy go plane. Now, those of you who are familiar with my channel will no doubt be aware that inside that long, large covered trailer over there is my second aeroplane, the one in which I broke my foot in 1992. So I've had a bit of skin in this game. Those of you who are really well aware of my channel will also know that if you go 50 miles west of here on Rifle Range Road, there's the National Transportation Museum, and therein you can look up and worshipfully regard my first aeroplane, the machine in which I made my first solo, the hairy go plane, which taught me to levitate, with an 8 horsepower Pixie 120 Pixie Minor 120cc X lawnmower engine, chain driving, a little tiny wooden propeller. It's over there. It's in the museum. So I'm about to pontificate on Hoover's problem, because Hoover's what this Pilot Debrief fellow, the ex-fighter pilot, I think he flew F-15s and F-18s, something like that. And he's got probably 100 or 1,000 hours airborne for every hour that I've actually spent pilot in command. But he's a trained ex-fighter pilot trying to make a go of it as a YouTuber. He wants to make money in the cloud. He wants to make money on YouTube. He wants to use YouTube to garner views, and then he wants to have Patreons, and then he wants to get AdSense, and then he wants to get sponsors, and that's his business plan, right? He's retired from the military. This is the big game. Use his expertise to critique people who fucked it up and say why they fucked it up. Now, on the one hand, it's not possible to defame anybody who's dead. So at law, he can say whatever he likes. And nobody has any valid case to take him to task unless they're still alive. So, okay, that's not a problem. He has been making quite a lot of successful videos, so I'm assuming he's making quite a lot of successful money. Recently, even though he's excoriating and a lot of people might be a bit worried about taking quite such a harsh attitude as he does, That's a girl. You're a good little swamp wallaby, aren't you, eh? She's not greedy, is she? Okay, so you can just forgive that segue and interruption, but swamp wallaby wants to be fed, swamp wallaby gets to be fed. Swamp wallaby isn't greedy, but swamp wallaby sort of knows what her rights are. She's entitled to share my spare food at sunrise and in the evening at the going down of the sun, lest we forget. She's been here for tens of thousands of years. My father's grandfather came here in 1885. So we share with the swamp wallaby. Back to the track of the story. Hoover of Pilot Debrief. He was going really well. He was a private citizen. He was posting his video analyses on YouTube. Yes, they were a little bit risque because if somebody got drunk on video while flying with their son and then they crashed and killed themselves, he would say what a dickhead they are. Not a problem. But all of a sudden, for reasons best known unto himself, Hoover decided he wanted to become an LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. So he wanted to become a dodo eater. The world's first limited liability corporation was the Dutch East Indies Company. Shareholders contributed to raise money to fund a fleet of ships, a bunch of armed mercenaries, a heap of food and provisions and arms and ammunition, and they sailed from Holland out around the southern end of Africa, across the Indian Ocean, looking for 4 islands where the only nutmeg trees on the world were known to grow, and they attacked them, they invaded them, they occupied them, they stole them. And for 400 years, Holland had a world monopoly on nutmeg. Inspired by this, there was the Hudson Bay Company, there was the British India Company. All of these companies or corporations, the whole idea is that the people who invest their money in the company for the company to go out and pursue some money-making endeavour will be given a dividend from the profits after the expenses of whatever the company seeks to do. And if the company loses money on the transaction and goes broke, then the people who bought the shares in the company, they cannot be sued for any kind of damage the company they own shares in and were going to get the profit out of might accidentally, incidentally, unforeseeably do to anybody else. So you buy shares in a company that wants to log a mountainside, and you get your dividend off the profit from turning the place into an absolutely bald bare ridge. And then when it rains and the soil falls off and clogs a river and kills a fishery and nobody can ever grow grass on that rocky shit pile again, nobody who's lost their livelihood can come after you because they can only go after the company, and the company only had $2 worth of assets, right? That's what a limited liability company is. It's a way for fat, cat, trendy, money-grubbing arseholes to fuck the planet and think they're going to get away with it. Okay, so what happened? Hoover, the ex-fighter pilot, who was making a pretty comfortable living on YouTube, he decided to become a limited liability corporation for tax purposes so that he didn't have to pay any or as much tax on however much money he was raking in from Patreons and sponsorships. And just as he was going up the J-curve, he cut himself off at the knees by informing YouTube that he wanted to become a limited liability corporation, and all of a sudden YouTube had to apply the same amount of scrutiny to everything he uploaded in terms of their potential legal liability as they do to everything that everybody else who is a limited liability corporation who cannot be sued for the damages they cause. So he posted himself into a whole new category of potential lawful risk to YouTube. Hoover, your problem is you got too greedy, you damn dumb prick. Now, I can forgive you for the idea that you're a patriotic citizen of the excited status of Norte Americano, and you went out there and sold your soul on the possibility of getting paid to shoot at strangers because your national honour depended on it. But I find it difficult to accept the fact that you have muted or blocked me from your channel to the point where I couldn't have said this in the comments thread quietly for you to look at and see or not at your liking. Because you muted or blocked me, then suck dicks. Hoover, you get the full video response from the mad scientist aeroplanologist living on a hill on an endangered species sanctuary, the bloke whose first aeroplane hangs in the National Transportation Museum because it's more fucking primitive than what the Wright brothers taught themselves to fly with in 1903. Yeah? Suck it up, Hoover. You muted me. Now, this is my response. I'm telling you what you did wrong. I'm telling you why YouTube told you to fuck off, because your material is way too close to them getting sued for the excoriating comments that you are quite likely to make in your ignorance because you've never taken any law lectures, when you're waffling on about what somebody who didn't actually die survived and did to do it. You're entirely likely to defame somebody who could sue you, and if you're a limited liability corporation, it will devolve back to them. If you're a private citizen as a limited liability corporation, they can point the fucking blame at you, and you're not really going to have enough assets to be worth suing. So I'm not a lawyer, Hoover. I'm a time-expired registered general nurse and a retired low-speed aerodynamics consultant, and I paid rates on an endangered species sanctuary for 33.5 years. What the fuck do you know? Do your local wildlife come up and ask to share your food? They do here. Is your first aeroplane hanging in a transport museum? If it is, tell me I'm fucking wrong. Other than that, you want to block me, it's because you don't fucking want to know what the facts are. You're not interested in reality. You want to continue to think what you're comfortable thinking you already know all about. Hoover, people like you are the reasons why Houthis are out there trying to fucking destroy Western civilization, because you've given them the shits. You've been too greedy, too arrogant, too hypocritical. Yeah, you want to make money, but you don't want to be responsible if anybody thinks you fucking pissed them off. And YouTube has had way too much experience of people pissing their advertising customers off. So they've got an algorithm that stopped you. They've got an algorithm that's feeling particularly feisty. Last week I got a bloody message from YouTube telling me that a video I captured of my transistor radio broadcasting an Australian Broadcasting Commission Radio National Sunday morning First Dog on the Moon program, where it was a panel discussion of what a dumb prick Eric Abetz was. He was a Liberal Party senator, that's Conservative Party senator from Tasmania, because he was trying to claim that there was some kind of evidence linking abortion with breast cancer. And the whole panel discussion was saying what a dickhead he was. I put his name and breast cancer in the title. The software had dug it up 12 years after I posted it, and they were telling me that they had deleted it because my video contravened the World Health Organization's advice on abortion, because their software had picked up on Eric Abetz talking horseshit and they thought I was promoting it rather than actually paying attention to the video. This week I got told that day 21, first aid treatment of an avulsion wound of the left index finger, the left middle finger, that's been listed as not suitable for people under 18 because the video of the half-healed finger is too graphic. YouTube's algorithm is feeling its oats. Hoover, it smacked me around a couple of times. You were being greedy. I'm not monetized. They didn't hassle my channel. They just told me, yeah, we've age restricted this one and we've deleted that one because, you know, boo-hoo, sob, sob. What can I say, Munchkin? Pull your fucking head in. And if you don't want to go down in my mind and my subscribers and viewers' history as being a pissweak little penny ante pusillanimous pissant, you will unblock me and you will dare to risk whatever I might say on your comments, because it's got to be less publicity attracting than having me make a YouTube video response to you when you make a noise that I want to respond to. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Hoover, wake up to yourself, little boy. Or keep pissing on your own shoes. Ciao.